Welcome back, arcade and electronics enthusiasts. We have here something that we're kind of joining in progress a little bit. This is another Space Wars set. And what I have already done is I put the status LED in. And if you want to know about that, I have a previous Space Wars repair where I kind of went in a little more in depth about what I did here to incorporate this status LED to let you know if this thing's running or not. We did that. This thing is a dirty, dirty board. And we have this, and what I have done on this is I clipped these two transistors out. I've clipped the legs and tested them, and I believe one of them was shorted. I'm just getting back to this. And I tested this capacitor. This capacitor is fine. So, yeah. So we'll go back through that. We'll go back through and test this stuff. I need to put a 0, in the board right here. And then we can, just fire this thing up and see what it does. And we can look at this board, of course. So let me get my Cinematronics stuff out and hook this stuff up. See what we get. Alright, I got my Cinematronics PCB power harness out and hooked up. Got a 0 in the board right there with the status LED. So we'll go ahead and turn this thing on and watch that status LED. And here we go. And you can see it flashes quick and goes out. So that means that the processing segment of this board is working. What is the outputs? We don't know, and that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to analyze the outputs and make sure that what is supposed to be being latched and sent to the monitor is actually what is being latched and sent to the monitor. So I'll be back. Just kind of go through, put this thing through its paces and check things out. Okay, I had discovered that I didn't have any activity over here on these at all. So I got to probing around. Actually, what I first did was I started feeling the chips, checking for shorted chips. And this guy was shorted, right? Sure enough. This interfaces with the soundboard. So a lot of times on these board sets, this 259 will be shorted out. A lot of times if the soundboard goes out, it takes out this chip. So I went right to this chip and it was fire hot. So I replaced that guy, and now I have some activity on here now. Looking good. And I have inputs over here. There's my clock on this. On these output latches to the monitor. This is an output. And input, see, I have input action now. I don't have a lot of output action. And I don't have, now I do have some. See, before I wasn't getting an output enable on here. Now I am. I'm still a little suspect of this. I'm a little suspect of this output enable signal on here. But it looks like now I do have... Well, now it's just high all the time on that output. That is in... Let me get on it. It's an input that is just kind of... Input. Now we don't have an output enable. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this thing. Something's goofy on it. So, but our LED is out, so this one's a little bit deceptive. So I'm just going to continue to probe around on this thing, and if I see anything, if I find anything odd, I'll come back. And maybe I don't have a good ground on my scope. I don't know. It's possible. All right, I'll be back. All right, I pulled one of these rams. I pulled the ram out of that socket and turned it on, and yeah, it's I'll go ahead and turn it on now. You see it flashes and goes out, so it's not working. The whole system isn't working. That part of the circuit isn't working. I gotta go through and make sure I got it hooked up right. I'm sure I do, though. I'm 95% sure I do. So I'll double check that, and then I gotta go through these signals and find out maybe the proceed signal is being stuck low or something. So I'm gonna have to do a little research into a couple of things and a couple of signals and find out what's going on. Why is this acting like it's working and it's clearly not working? So, all right, let me do that and I'll be back. Okay, so looking at my little schematic here that I drew, the reset signal comes into pin 13. So if I probe pin 13, I will see it is floating. And the proceed signal is on pin 9. Our proceed signal's fine. The reset signal's not working. It's floating, so that's being read as a 1 all the time. So that's why the LED is going out. If this thing isn't working, then reset needs to pulse low so that this LED will stay lit. But that is not working. So I got to figure out, number one, do I have the reset line tied to that? I'm sure I do, because I think that one you don't mess with. So I got to figure that out. I got to find the reset line, and reset doesn't work. So, and find out where that comes from. And I have it hooked up wrong. I have to move this line to that pin. So I was a pin off. So I'll go ahead and fix that. Okay, and there you go. I have moved that over to the proper pin. We should be good to go now. At least this status LED should work now. Okay, we're hooked back up. And I'll go ahead and turn it on. And yeah, there we go now. Now it's not working. Now it shows that we are not working, which is what I expected to see. Check that out. I'll go ahead and twist that. Now it's running. Now it's not. Running. Nah, I just got lucky with that. So we need to replace these white junk sockets. This one, that one, that one. Those sockets are garbage and they need to go. So we'll go ahead and replace those. Yeah, if I mess with this, it just goes off. Yeah. Cool. Okay, that was an easy one. I got lucky. I got lucky finding that. But these sockets are just junk in general, so they need to go. 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. I'll be back. Okay, we got 3 new sockets. New. So we will go ahead and fire this up, and hopefully that flashes and goes out. There we go. Now it's running. So this thing should be good to go now. And I do want to just kind of verify that my signal's going out to the monitor. Good. I know that my signal's going to the sound. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Something just happened. Okay. Let's try something. Let's turn it off and try turning it back on. Okay, let's turn it back on. Yeah, I don't know, it's trying, but let's see if our light comes back on. It might come back on, I don't know. It's kind of flaky. It's a wee bit flaky. This board's kind of warpy. I saw it flash. Something funny going on. There's some funny business going on here. We got some kind of funny business going on here. You know what I think I want to do? I think I want to wash this board really good. It's so dirty. I'd like to get it cleaned up. It's just better to work on a clean board. So I think that's what I'm going to do next, is just stop and clean this board up. It's still working though. Okay, I was taking this guy apart and I found another trash socket right there. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that guy too. Clean this thing up. And we'll get back to it. Okay, I replaced this socket. Cleaned the board all up. Got it put all back together. And this thing is flashing every now and again. Or staying on. Take your pick. It might even go out here in a second. Start working. Yep, there you go. Something funny's going on here. There's some funny business going on. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn my scope off. And I'm just going to leave this thing on and let it cook. Because right now it's intermittent. It's running, then it's not running. I just need this thing to fail. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave this thing on for a handful of hours and come back out here and hopefully it's dead for good. So otherwise this is going to be darn hard to deal with. So yep, okay. I'll be back after just letting it do its thing. Hopefully it fails. I'll be back. Okay, I went ahead and removed all of the bipolar ROMs and socketed them because I was just getting that random red light. Now watch. I've kind of... Now it's not going to do it. And now it's not going to do it. There we go. I'm going to analyze. I'm going to inspect this board under the scope because I think there's a broken trace somewhere. Look at that. Yeah, something's funny. We got prior work up here with these guys. That's where I really should start, is all of this prior work. Alright, well, I'll be back when I find it. right, I think I might have it solid now. Oh boy, here's a test. Is it gonna... Yeah, see? Now I can kind of shake the board around. Ah, still going good, and it is turned on. Yeah. One thing that'll reset it every time is if you put your finger on, just cover on these, you introduce some capacitance into the data lines coming through and watch. But other than that, I replaced this socket. I removed and replaced this socket, and I resoldered all of these sockets. And it seems to have done the trick. Once again, you can just put your finger over these guys and it'll kill it. Yeah. Yep, but I think I got it. I'm going to let it run for a while and just kind of monitor it, but I think it's looking pretty good. And I did look at all of these monitor signals going out, as well as the intensity signal, and everything looks good on this board. So this thing should be good to go now. Okay, now that I am satisfied with the main board, we're going to take a look, turn our attention to this guy. So let me just go ahead and set the camera up on the tripod so that I can use both of my hands. Okie dokie, artichokies, let's do it. Alright, I'm getting my meter out. And let's go to diode test. Okay. And make sure we're still in the frame. Yeah, we are, but we're kind of... Yeah, well, I guess that's it. Alright. What is this? That is the 6107. That is the PNP transistor. I believe this is base collector emitter, I think. So let's try this. Base. Alright. Okay. That looks good. Now let's try collector to emitter. Nothing. Nothing. So this transistor is actually good. Now let's flip this thing over and let's try the PNP one. The NPN one. That's short. That's short. That's short. Collector to emitter. And collector to emitter both ways. This transistor is absolutely blown out. Blown out. So also what I want to do is I want to put my red probe to ground, and this is ground, the tab on the 7815. And I want to just probe this 7406 because this 7406 interfaces with the main board. And I want to make sure that it's not shorted to ground. So I'm just going to put my red probe on the ground tab over here. That is ground. And then just probe around on this chip and see if I'm shorted anywhere. Other than ground, of course. Nope. Okay. Okay. I'm just looking for a really low reading or a dead short. One or the other. This is ground. Okay. Alright. Okay. So this 7406 is not grounded, which is good. So what I'm going to do with this board is I'm going to replace both of the regulators and both of the transistors. And then we'll be ready to fire this thing up. Okay, and here are my new parts. We have tip 41 and tip 42. I use those in place of, these are basically equivalent to tip 31 and tip 32. The 41 and 42 is just a beefed up version of the 31 and 32. So why in the world would you not use a 41 and 42? And then I have my two regulators. Yep, so that'll do that. Yeah, this is, you can do an equivalent, say these are like 2N, okay, take 2N3716, 2N3792, the deflection amplifier transistors on, say, a vector monitor. It's better, it's more expensive, but it's better to use the MG15003J or G and MG15004G transistors. Same electrical properties, but they just handle more amperage through it and voltage, and they dissipate power better. So the same thing with 2N3055, which is widely used. A good substitute for those is the 2N3773 or 3774. I forget exactly which one it is, but it's the same kind of properties, but it just dissipates power better and it handles more voltage and maybe 5 more amps of current through it. You know, it's just a little bit better transistor. Same deal here. So that's why I use 41s and 42s. Wherever 31 and 32s are called for, I use 41 and 42s. It's just a little bit better of a transistor. So, and they're cheap, so why not? Alright, so we'll go ahead, replace these parts, get these heat sunk really good with some good paste, clean this junk off, and reflow where reflowing is needed. And yeah, we'll be back. Alright, new parts. You have your NPN, the 41 here, and the PNP, the 42 there. New regulators, 7815, 7819. No, 7815, 7915. Yeah. I hate having to do this, but I had to fold some of the legs down onto the traces on these regulators because they were kind of burnt up. I hate doing that, but sometimes you have to do what you got to do. What is that? I got to make sure that's not a short across there. I don't know what that is. But yeah, these were not bad. They did nice, soldered nicely. But let me look at that. What is going on there? What is that? I might have to get the old microscope out and look at that. So I'll do that, make sure that's not shorted, and then we'll be ready to hook this thing up. Yeah, that was definitely short potential. It was a piece of that broken trace off of the middle lead there, kind of laying over onto the other lead, so I just clipped it. It was clear as day under the microscope. So I clipped that and cleared it. Reflowed the connectors. These pins here were reflowed nicely. So this thing's ready to go. See if we get some sounds. Okay, the awesome news is I have this thing turned on. The board set is running. My fuses did not blow, and I can hear the speaker. So this soundboard is working. As far as it, I mean, it yet to be seen for sound, as far as effects and whatnot. But it's not blowing fuses, and I can hear it coming through the speakers. So that tells me it's working so far. So we have a working board set so far. I got to hook a monitor up to it and make sure we get a picture. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to turn this off for now. Cool. All right, so let me get a monitor hooked up and see what we can see. And look at this. I got my Cinematronics monitor hooked up. And here's Space Wars. There's your little dude right there. There's that little dude right there. You can't see. Right there, see him? Bunch of stars around. There's a little sun in the center. Yeah. Excellent. Do we have to see if we got sound? A little gameplay action. Cool. I'll be back in a bit. I'm going to mess around with some gameplay stuff, and I got to get it set up. I don't know the pin out or nothing. I don't have a good setup for this system. So we'll see. All right, I'll be back. Let me see what I can set up. Okay, so if I just kind of screw around and short stuff, yeah, I'm having a hard time getting anything done here. There we go. I'm moving that guy. There's a death. Shot sound. Yeah. So I'm just randomly shorting stuff, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But it seems like everything's working. I've seen that guy move and turn. I've seen that guy move and turn. I've heard the shot sound, the destruction sound and stuff. So I'm going to call it a successful test. I'd love to have a better setup to where I can actually play this, but I don't know. They use this stupid ribbon cable. It's just hard to deal with. About all I can do is just sort stuff together. But you can see it's working good. So in this board, I have exercised the heck out of that main board. That thing has probably run for 6 hours here, trying to get it to fail and stuff with that weird intermittent bullcrap problem. But it's solid now, for the time being anyway. So I'm going to let this thing continue, just run for a little bit right here. I got the monitor, I got the picture kind of squished a little bit because I don't want to drive this monitor that hard, this chassis. This is kind of my test chassis. I have a chassis here, a monitor here that I use to test boards and stuff with. So I don't need to run it that hard. So excellent. So that board right there had the bad interface. The 259 right there was bad. I resocketed all these bipolar ROMs. I actually desoldered and resocketed them because I was trying to figure out what was causing it to randomly reset. And turns out I removed that socket in that RAM and resocketed it, and all of a sudden all of that randomness went away. And I resoldered all of this prior work. I just resoldered it. I didn't remove anything. I just resoldered right into it. So maybe it wasn't making a good connection. I don't know. But the random reset stuff is gone. And this guy here had a blown out NPN transistor right there. Replaced both of the transistors. Replaced both of the regulators. And it's good to go. Working good. Space Wars. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you all on the next Classic Arcade Repair. Thank you, and bye for now.